Hi, and this is video 3 of the hip opening series, and this is one of my favorite set of postures for opening the hips. And we're going to start first with opening up the hip flexors. And so laying on your back and grabbing your block, and then engaging your glutes as you raise your pelvis, and then place the block on your sacrum. If this is too much, you can of course lay the block down here and you'll still benefit as well from this series of exercises. So just kind of hang out here and just experience how good it feels. Roll your shoulders so you're on almost the tops of your arms, and rolling your shoulders behind you. And you can even play with stretching your legs out. This is just a really nice stretch of your front body. And you can feel your hips, your hip flexors opening. And breathe. And I like to interlace my hands as I'm rolling both arms out. So I'm, again, aiming to get the tops of my shoulders here on the mat. So I'm just kind of rolling my chest open. And keeping everything engaged. Okay, and walking your feet in. So you're in kind of a tabletop, I guess. The legs are bent at a 90-degree angle. And you're going to raise your right leg up. You should feel this in your hamstring here, just until you feel that little tug. Stop maybe just right there. And you can even bounce a little bit. We'll do that 5 times. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to have you rotate your ankle 5 times. 1. So your foot is going out and in. Good, you can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then bending at the knee, crossing your leg, and you're just opening your right leg out. Remember to keep everything engaged so you're not collapsing. And breathe. She has a voice. Come here, Olive. Okay, and then release, bringing your leg in. Now this next one, we're just stretching the front of the leg, and do this, to whatever extent that you can. I'm going to show you an ideal pose, and ideally, you're getting your entire shin on the ground, which I'm still working towards. But if you can just do this, that's totally fine. We're just trying to, again, stretch and the front part of the leg. This is not something that gets accessed very often, so I love this stretch here. And again, you're keeping everything engaged as you're doing this, and you're rotating that right leg and just knee just a little bit towards the midline, just a little spiral action. Don't forget to breathe. This shouldn't be miserable, so back off a little if it is. And release. And bringing the other leg up. And again, just feel where that little tug is on the insertion of your hamstring. And then just kind of kick back a little bit and kind of play with that. We'll do that 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then twist your ankle, rotate from the hip socket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bending your left leg, crossing at the ankle, and just letting it open. Again, shoulders back, palms pressing into the mat, little arch in your upper back, keeping your chin tucked. Keep your left foot flexed. and then slowly pulling that left leg back and then tucking it behind, stretching that left hip flexor, front of the leg. Rather than resisting it, just kind of relax, back off if it's too much, or else you'll lose the benefit of the stretch. And once you find that kind of comfortable, somewhat uncomfortable spot, but one that's tolerable, that's when you hold it, breathe into it, and then on the inhale, you lengthen, and then the exhale, you go deeper into the stretch. And do that for a series of 5 breaths. And you know what to do. So we'll come out of that stretch, and then tucking your tailbone up so you're away from the block, and then tuck your tailbone up so you kind of do a ripple here where you're touching with your upper back, and then your middle back, and then your lower back. Which incidentally, if you ever have lower back pain, this is a tremendous release on the lower back. You put your feet against the wall, and you can put a yoga block between your legs, and as you're pushing against the wall, you just curl your tailbone up, your sacrum up like that, as you're pushing against the wall, and it'll completely release your lower back. And if you can do that immediately after you have that sensation of, oh crap, I hurt my back, and I'll just show you on this, I've got a couch here that I can show you. So I've got my feet here, and I'm just tucking my tailbone up as I squeeze my knees against the block. It's a great release on the lower back. Okay, a little bit of advice here. So we're on our back, remove the block, hug your knees to your chest, roll to the side, and then come up. So the quintessential hip opening exercise is Pigeon. So we're going to do that now. And with Pigeon, there are different ways to make this harder. And basically, if you want to make it as easy as you can, we'll start with the right leg. Bring your foot in all the way to your groin. And if this is too much, get something. I'm going to use a little schnauzer, a fake one, not this one, and put it underneath your right hip. What's important is that you're applying, that you're not lifting up from your right hip, that you're using something to support you so you can square your hips as much as possible. Because the benefit here should be in the right hip, not in the left. Now, that back foot, I like to see the kneecap off the floor. So that back leg is fully engaged. My toe is laying flat, my foot is laying flat, but keep that leg just slightly up above the floor. And ideally with this pose, if you can hang out for like 5 minutes, what you're looking for is that point where you're breathing into that tight muscle and you should feel a release. And it sometimes takes a couple of minutes for that to happen. And just make yourself comfortable, but we're really getting into the glute here, the piriformis, and the glute at least is such a big muscle. It takes a while to access this, but the most important thing is that you're not rolling onto one side, you're keeping everything even, you're keeping this left hip pulled down, again, so the hips are square, and then just to hold this. And so after you have held that, and doing this every day, every other day, is gonna really open up your hips. Again, this is like the ultimate hip opener. What you can do to access the front of the leg, the hip flexors, and a nice adjunct to Pigeon is grabbing that back foot and bringing it in. And you can play with that. It just adds, again, to this posture. And you can use your strap to do that. You can put your strap around your foot. And then you can pull the strap,
and get a nice back bend, bring your elbows together. So that's kind of one-stop shopping there. You're getting a lot of stuff at one time. So I'm releasing. And something else is as you become more, as the pigeon becomes easier as your leg is in, you can start moving your leg to more of a 90-degree angle, your foot and your lower part of your leg. And that'll really access that hip as well. So I'm not gonna hold this for 5 minutes just for efficiency on film time today, but you get the idea here. So I'm gonna step back here and then just step back through into a down dog and just kind of pedal my feet out here before we go into the other pigeon, or other side of pigeon. And so we'll do the left leg here. And again, if you need something to go under your left hip as a support, you can use a rolled up towel, you can use a schnauzer, dog toy. Don't use a real schnauzer, even though there is one right here. And kind of find that spot where you feel it here and get your position correct, and then settle into it. Make sure that right kneecap is engaged, and then lower down. Okay, and ideally you would hold that longer. If you want to add an additional stretch to this pose, you can put your strap on your foot and then pull it up behind you. And my leg is kind of splaying in here, so I'm gonna adjust here. There we go. Keeping the elbows in, looking up. And the other thing that you can do too, if you are able, see if you still can, is grab it with your hand as well. And then even tucking it in the crook of your arm here, and then bracing with the other arm, and release. And then coming out of it, keeping that right foot back, and then kind of kicking that left foot up, and then down, and then paddling it out. And that concludes our short but sweet hip opening sequence for today. Thank you.